Hey everybody, this is Dave. Welcome back to Just the Watch. Today we're going to be taking a look at what I'm pretty sure is the cheapest high beat automatic movement you can possibly get. It's a watch that is from Star King, and I've had them on the channel once before. And before we get into the review, I want to give two kind of quick announcements. So first off, this watch was provided by Star King for review, and they asked me to release the review on 11/11 to let you guys know that this watch that I'm going to be reviewing is actually on sale right now. So AliExpress has their big 11/11 sale. The Star King store is selling a lot of stuff at pretty heavy discounts, and this watch you can pick it up now for like $26. So you're getting a high beat automatic movement for under $30, which is pretty crazy. So it'll be a fun review to take a look at and see what you can, what can you get for basically 25 bucks when it comes to high beat automatic movements. So we'll check that out, but definitely encourage you guys to go hit the link down below, check out the Star King store. And if you don't like this particular one, they have some that are a little bit nicer that I'm sure will also be on sale. So it's a good time to check out AliExpress anyways if you're looking around for deals, because 11/11 is, I think it's kind of like their Black Friday. It's one of the biggest sale days of the year. Second announcement, this watch is part of a giveaway. So the winner of the giveaway, I'm going to announce right now, the winner is Mike Cambridge. So Mike, congratulations. Check the description down below to figure out how to claim your prize. Basically, you need to send me an email or contact me on Instagram. All the details down in the description. But yeah, congratulations. Thanks for entering the giveaway, and thanks to everybody. Thanks again to Star King for sending in this watch so that I can give it away to you guys. Let's go ahead and get into the review. All right, so now on sale, $25 for a high beat automatic watch. Typical price is still an incredibly low $32, and it's just a pretty amazing value, I think, what you're getting at this price. But obviously, to get a high beat automatic movement in this price range, you're going to have to cut some corners. There's got to be some trade-offs, and so we'll talk about what those are. But for starters, let's just go over what we got. We'll go over the dimensions and specifications, and then talk through how this watch works. So for dimensions, you're coming in at 41 millimeters across. You're coming in at 11 millimeters high, which is pretty slim for any automatic watch in this price range. Very standard 20 millimeter lug openings for your straps, and then about an average size 49 millimeter lug to lug across on it. You're getting a flat mineral crystal, an alloy case, so you're not getting a full stainless steel case. That's one of the sort of trade-offs that they had to do, but actually it's a really nice looking case. I wouldn't have really been able to tell that this is some kind of a plated metal and not full stainless steel, but you do get a stainless steel case back. 30 meters of water resistance on there as well. And they are claiming, it's stamped on here that this is a genuine leather strap. I'm kind of doubtful of that. It does not feel at all like leather. It feels like plastic. But again, at this price range, that's kind of what you would come to expect. And then inside, powering this watch, you're getting, again, a 28,800 beats per hour, high beat automatic movement. I tested it at a 38-hour power reserve. The power reserve lasted a full 38 hours, so I was pretty happy with that. That's great for, again, a high beat movement like this. Usually they have slightly lower power reserves. And accuracy was getting around plus 13 seconds a day. So not spectacular accuracy, but again, for an automatic watch in this price range, pretty good. The movement also has a date function, and then it's got hacking and hand winding. So you get hand winding on this guy, plus hacking, so you can stop the second hand to sync it exactly. So actually a pretty feature-packed movement as well. Again, pretty crazy for the price that they're offering here. Overall build quality of the watch feels pretty solid. I mean, you can see it picks up a lot of fingerprints. Again, you're getting a plated case. It's some kind of an alloy metal, but that's pretty typical. Like even Timex does that on most of their watches. So not unheard of, but potentially you might wear down this sort of chrome plating on there eventually and see like a base metal underneath. So there's some questions there about the longevity of it, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Strap, again, as mentioned, it's a very cheap strap. I would definitely swap that out, and that's one of the biggest cons here. But it doesn't look terrible, for a dress watch. You can throw it on there and kind of get by, but I think even from a distance it looks kind of plasticky, so it's not the greatest looking. It's also not very comfortable, doesn't feel like it breathes very much, and kind of makes your wrist sweat a little bit as well. So again, a little bit dubious about their claim of genuine leather there. That said, hardware is not bad. You're getting a signed buckle. Also on the case, you get a signed crown, so nice, nice branding there that they were good enough to put that on there. But again, the most interesting feature of this watch, I think, is the movement inside. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It's got a closed case back, which is a little bit of a bummer. I think if you're kind of looking for a really cheap automatic watch, it's really fun to get one that has an open case back. For a lot of people, that's one of the main reasons they want to get this, and so it would have been nice if they had an open case back, but this doesn't really affect the functionality of it. You can see that it is a automatic watch by the sweep of the second hand. So when we're talking about high beat movements, that's what we're talking about, basically how many times per a second the second hand ticks. In this case, it's going to be a smoother sweep than you find on most entry-level movements from like Seiko or Miyota. So it has a very smooth sweep, and you should be able to see that on there. Really nice looking at that, but it's primarily an aesthetic thing. They say that a high beat movement, that the trade-offs are you get more accuracy and less power reserve. But again, in this case, it doesn't seem to have really affected it. You're getting a pretty comparable power reserve to more standard beat rate watches, and the accuracy isn't anything to write home about either. So it seems like really the only difference here is the smoothness of that sweep. So this is really primarily going to be something that's for collectors. There's not really any benefit other than it looks cool and that it's kind of a unique movement. Again, particularly in this price range. In order to jump up to a high beat movement, you're looking at getting like a Miyota 9000 series would be your kind of entry level, or a Sellita SW200, something like that. And both of those, you're rarely going to find on watches costing less than $400. So if you want to experience that high beat smooth sweep for cheaper, this is again by far the cheapest way you're going to get a hold of that. Other than that, the movement's fairly unremarkable. There's definitely some rotor spin. You can kind of hear it on the wrist, and it does spin very quickly when you give it a jolt like that. You can also feel it. Also, the movement's a little bit louder than most automatic movements. If you kind of hold it anywhere close to your ear, you'll start to notice the ticking sound, which I think is kind of cool. I like the sound of an automatic movement's tick. Yeah, but that might not be for everybody. So let's go over some of the pros and cons of this watch above what we've already talked about here. But the thing that I like the most about this watch, again, other than the movement inside, is the dial. It's got this kind of really beautiful deep blue sunburst finish that really catches the light very nicely. The printing on it is it's printed markers and indices, but it's just a nice crisp white printing, and it looks pretty good there. And yeah, I just love the color of the dial. I got the blue dial one here, and it almost looks black in some lightings, and it looks very bright and blue in other circumstances. The other thing I really like is how kind of reflective the dial is. You can actually see the reflection of the hands from certain angles, and I just think that looks really cool when you see the second hand kind of reflected off the dial a little bit. It doesn't seem to affect legibility too much. Legibility is not bad, but it's not great either. There are times when the metallic hands will get lost in the glare. The hands themselves are very simple. They're very long and thin. And I think that works well with the style. Again, if you have a high beat movement in there, having a long second hand will make that smooth sweep come out even more. So I like that they chose to do that, because it is a fairly long second hand, and that really helps you to appreciate that smooth sweep that it has. Overall, it's a really beautiful watch. It's very elegant, very nice. Again, very nice case design. Very classy, very good sizing. So I think it works great as a dress watch. I really like that it's only 11 millimeters thin, so it can fit under a cuff. So if you are looking for an inexpensive dress watch, that kind of punches above its weight wise, at least in the looks department. This is, I think, a good option. Comparable watches in this price range, you might be looking at something like a quartz option from Timex or Casio or something like that. Would give you maybe a different alternative. And that's where I think you're going to see some of the contrast in this watch between this one and other quartz watches in this price range. And so the main challenge, I think, with this one is it's kind of going to go back to that movement, I think. So the Star King movement, it's really cool that they're doing their own in-house automatic movements, but at the same time, the movement is a fairly cheap movement, and to get a movement at that price, it probably doesn't have the highest quality control. I saw a breakdown on the Watch Repair channel where he actually tore one of these down, and he was actually more impressed with the build quality of the rest of the watch than the movement itself, and he had some concerns about how long it would last. I've never used one of these for long term. I've had a couple of them before, but never kept them around long enough to see how long they last. So that would be my main concern, is that it might not be the most durable movement. It might not last terribly long, and it's certainly not something that you're going to want to get serviced. I mean, at this price range, the servicing cost is going to be way more than the cost of the watch. So really, it's the kind of thing that you use it until the movement wears out or dries up and would require servicing, and then you're going to chuck it and maybe replace it with another one or something like that. So that's where I think the trade-off is going to be. In this price range, you can get this. It's a really cool watch. It's got an automatic movement. It looks great, very dressy, but there's some question of how long it's going to last. So if you're looking for a reliable watch to use day in, day out for a long time, getting a cheap quartz watch from Timex or Casio in this price range is probably going to be the better option. If you want something that looks really spectacular, that has that really smooth sweeping second hand, and you're willing to take a little bit of a risk on the quality and understand that it might not last as many years as something from a more established major brand would, then this is a great watch to get. So I think those are the main trade-offs that you're looking at with something like this. Another drawback that I noticed is the quality control isn't spectacular. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but definitely on the macro shots, the minute hand appears to have some grime on it, or it just wasn't cleaned. And that, you can't really see it most of the time, but from certain angles it becomes apparent, and especially on the macro shots, you can definitely see it. So that's something that's a little bit disappointing, but again, you're looking at, what's a $25 automatic watch. So that's kind of to be expected at this price range. And the final con is the strap. Again, we've talked about this before. It's very plasticky, not very comfortable. I would definitely look at replacing that. The good news is with this kind of minimalist style, you've got a lot of strap options. A nice brown leather strap, or just a simple genuine leather strap, or a crocodile grain one is going to look great on this. You could also get away with probably throwing it on a NATO and enjoying it that way as well. And I think you got, again, a lot of options, 20 millimeter openings, but I think the strap is, I would definitely replace that if I was going to buy one of these. So hopefully you have kind of an extra strap in mind, or something around that you can kind of throw on there. If you don't, you can wear it on the strap. Again, it doesn't look too terrible, but yeah, you can kind of get away with it for a while, again, until you feel like replacing the strap. So overall, yeah, I think the value is definitely there, but it is, it's a very interesting proposition. You're getting one of the cheapest mechanical watches you can possibly get, and on top of it, it's a high beat movement inside. So really cool there. And if that's what if you're looking for something like that, if you just want to get a really cheap, affordable automatic watch, something that's really elegant and dressy looking, something you kind of wear on special occasions that is probably going to get some second looks and people will be interested in it. This is a good option. But if you want something more reliable, if you're more concerned about getting a watch that's going to last you for a long time, there's probably some other more reliable options from like Timex or Casio out there as well. But still, especially at the 11/11 sale pricing, it's a pretty crazy deal. And if you've got an extra $25 to spare and you're interested at all in this, it's probably a good one to go ahead and pick up and just check it out. So yeah, I'll be leaving links to this one down below. You guys can take a look. But that will wrap up the review of the Star King TM0915. Again, probably the cheapest high beat automatic movement you can possibly get. If you guys know of anything that tops that, let me know. Another thing to note, Star King makes a pretty wide range of watches, and I think some of There are slightly more expensive ones. I think you go up to $50. You can start getting like sapphire crystals, full stainless steel cases, metal bracelets, a lot of upgrades. Same movement inside, so some of the same concerns, but the rest of the watch can be a lot nicer. So that's also something to look at if you're interested in Star King. It's definitely one of those kind of Chinese brands that I think it's worth taking a look at if you're looking into budget watches. I also like looking at Guanqin and Cadison. And then Star King would be the third. Those are sort of my three favorite budget Chinese brands, and they have a lot of interesting watches in that sort of $50, $60 and under price range. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk to you later, and yeah, we'll see you next time.